Happy job with WAPTEK. This will be the nice comments for the day, mostly because I want to stick in a couple of things in here that I just saw that a certain channel summed up. And I think this is a comment that I'm going to be making that probably fits everybody. But anyway, we're going to do the nice job for the day. It goes without saying nowadays, the price of fame is exposing yourself to literally billions of whack jobs. It's not about guns. People focus on them. Gun violence is just a symptom of the cancers eating at America. There are too many people running around that don't value life, or if they do, it's less than they value the attention they or their cause will obtain by harming others. I believe firmly that until we take the time to do a self-assessment and figure out what's causing these problems, it's only going to get worse. Since she posted this, there are more videos posted about the New World Order making their move, doing the benefits and snap cards and stuff, weaponizing the poor. Food riots are coming. Completely insane. Now, in 2013, yes, people did freak out at Walmart. Yes, it could happen again, but that's not what is happening right now. Glad to see someone out there has not lost their minds. I wish I had more than one. I need one that works. I also wonder how much the Venezuela collapse is playing into people's apocalyptic fears. Yes. Everywhere. If you look long enough, you will find some sort of disaster or something, and people will exploit these things. Thank you for the shout-out, said Jam Hanover. Really good info, says Margaret Walker. Thank you, and God bless. Thank you. I think you are being busted. Sorry, Steve, from the range. That's Steve Olson. Next one, if I can get to it. Someone asked me some technical stuff. That's cool. And thanks. Mandatory open carry for all voting age people. Might fix it. Interesting comment. Maybe workable. Dangerous, messed up people. Paranoid doomsayers. Doomsayers. Thank you for the video with much more rational explanation. Superstitious mythology. Look out for the black cat that crosses your path. And of course I put in my black cat equals some random number. Balloon knot tie. Profirmed. Inconceivable. I had fun with that. I'm going to bring up a video channel called Dark Matter 2525. He posts lots of really good Kafka Trap-esque statements that really make you have to sit there and think for 2 seconds, even if you don't want to, because unfortunately if you're really going to try to debunk what he's going to say in the video, you're going to be stuck, because he doesn't post things that can't be totally independent of everything else you know confirmed, because they're based on the logic of the situation almost purely. But I had to stop at one of the videos at the 6-minute 3-second mark. It's called "But Intelligent People Believe in God," and it's based on what causes people to believe anything, really. It doesn't matter what. And why reality, not truth, reality isn't self-evident, but you will discover it. On the other hand, things aren't real, have to be propped up by all sorts of crap. I'll probably leave a link to it. You can just look up his channel. But I love this statement because this matches me completely, so I'm just going to steal it, but I'm going to give credit. I originally started this channel to post comments, but then allowed my passions to take it wherever they may. And now here I am with a totally unexpected audience. That's the beauty of YouTube. There's no way I could say it better. And the next one, yet another video. Voltaire. A quote from Voltaire, done by him on another video. To learn who rules over you, simply find out who you are not allowed to criticize. Again, looking towards history to find all of these little bits and pieces that make it to where you're alive and well and able to think. I'm going to re-quote the previous quote I just pulled and stole. I originally started what I was doing simply to be an observer and occasionally offer useful input. Then people began to ask me for input. Then people began to repeat what I said. And then finally I became the authority figure. This is doing this quote badly, but it was based on someone who started off being a student, then a peer, and eventually the teacher. I don't remember which person, but I'm not sure, but I think it's a mathematician. Now I'm going to cover a couple of different subjects, I hope, if this is useful. This isn't really going to be a Java vid. That's about all of the comments, so I will do this. A submarine is a zeppelin underwater. Yeah. The equations for a zeppelin and the equations for a submarine have very similar characteristics, and you may have noticed the shape is similar. The propeller's surface has to be designed a lot like a wing. Sometimes it shouldn't. A missile going into the air sometimes has a similar shape. The equations for a resonance system such as a tuning fork are almost exactly the same mathematics equations used in a practical electronic or electrical oscillator. What do these all have in common? Common core. The idea, if not the execution of Common Core, was to teach people in some way how to derive those magic equations, those written out on a piece of paper programs that would let you input information and solve it. The quadratic equation is my favorite example. Some of you may remember it with horror or with glee. The quadratic equation is one of the things I used in a equation build that I made, along with all the error checks you have to do, to figure out the resonant frequency for a circuit. And I had to take into account every single characteristic of it. So instead of the quadratic equation, you make this massively modified, twisted version of it, sort of like an open source program you get off of some website, and twisted it to where it would let me put in all the variables and give me all the possible answers out. It's just an equation. But I had to learn how to do it, and it was hard. The aim or the attempt in Common Core is to teach people how to dismantle and rebuild things rather than just simply giving them an equation so they can figure out what day of the week it is if you give them a day of the year, a date. Take a date, figure out the day of the month, day of the week. That's actually pretty hard to do if you don't know the equation. There's an actual equation for it. There's a process for it. You can do it rapidly in your head if you learn it well enough. Similar to counting cards, this is based on cyclic and repeating, and unlike counting cards, you don't have to have a statistics understanding or a best fit for the curve. When designing zeppelins using aluminum or any other product, the high-tech item at the time was to drill holes in things. It reduced the weight, and if you did it exactly right, it wouldn't reduce the strength, but it would reduce the durability. Once you got the weight down to a certain level for a zeppelin or an airplane, or for any other physical structure, you would end up understanding it in such a way that you could figure out, hey, there seems to be a pattern here, and then you figured out there's an equation that you could use that would fit it well enough, and you could adjust it a little bit, and that gave you the ability to extrapolate that from something the size of a beam for a building to an entire bridge. The equations were the same. Once you found that out, that's like figuring out how to make a wheel. It has pi built into it, so you don't have to do pi all the time. You don't have to figure out endless decimal places. You just figure out how to do it. A parabolic dish can be made by taking a record player, putting a bowl or a dish on it that's got straight sides, putting a liquid in it, and spinning it. It forms a parabola, because that's the only shape it can form, because gravity is constant and the rotation creates a varying level of tension on the surface. If it's a bowl of mercury, you have a parabolic dish. When you learn these things, they become like a shorthand, like a grammar, like a language, and you can pull from these things the way to solve other problems. A very good example is aluminum used to be extremely expensive. I mean, it was really borderline ridiculously expensive. So again, drill holes in things, make it way less. But aluminum and steel and iron operate differently. From that kind of concept, what about three-dimensional holes? What if you make voids or, I don't know, air bubbles? You can find foamed metal if you look it up. I'm probably not going to include any links below in this video. The point I'm making here is this stuff rolls out of my mind when I think of these things, and it feels good because I'm able to remember these things, not for who told it to me or how I found it out, but how they relate to each other. And I think that is what was an attempt at Common Core. And I think that's what's also an attempt, if you look further back, for the predecessor to Common Core, New Math. Every few decades, we all become enamored with the idea of making ourselves into Swiss Army knives, mentally, socially, emotionally, whatever. This idealism sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. But we do a one-size-fits-all attitude towards everything. And now to repeat. I started this to comment. Then I allowed my passions to run away with me. And now here I am with an unexpected audience, a few people who hate me, who are almost comically, stereotypically incapable of doing a damn thing, and a bunch of people who propped me up and made sure I didn't make any stupid mistakes so far. Thank every one of you. And that is the beauty of YouTube. And if they would just fix 3 things, it'd be fixed. And I think they're leaving it broken because can't have perfection. Thanks for watching. Have a good day, and hope this ramble wasn't too far off.